Hello. Today we'll focus on the number 3, more or less. 3 is a magic number. Well, let's recall 0, which 0 was a start. 1, we started with a question. And then 2, we ran into a little problem, which is what is the purpose of education? And we came down to, let's see, let me move this down here. All right, just super here. Just super. I know there's a little glare, but that's all right. Okay, so we talked about either or, which is a question, progress versus priority. And the question was, what was the purpose of education? And what do kids need? So I looked up the National Assessment for Educational Progress, and so progress was the directive for the nation, as opposed to the priority. And I think about a priority, which to me was different than the NAEP, but I think about magazine covers like, do we have an epidemic of anguish? I mean, that's kind of my observation. So according to the NAEP, the problem in education is lack of progress. Took a little dive. And then what my observations were is that kids need time and sleep and freedom from testing. So the solution from the NAEP is to increase testing for students, and I guess I'm saying that that's contradictory to what I'm seeing, which is that kids are suffering. So there's a dilemma, you see. And so the vocabulary for today's lesson is hierarchy. The definition of hierarchy is a system of organization in which a people or groups are ranked one or above the other according to status or authority. The definition of framework: a structure for enclosing or supporting adjusted arrangement. And then order is to give order to, arrange in a row or rank, to give commands, instruct authoritatively, set and keep order as issued. So usually presented in education as a hierarchy is a form of a triangle. Kind of old school hierarchy, or what was called taxonomy, was Bloom and Maslow. You don't need to know this stuff, but I think what's important is it's kind of presented in a triangle. And in old educational systems, the triangle would start at the bottom and say, once you get your physiological needs met, then you'll have safety, love, esteem, and then eventually self-actualization. In Bloom's taxonomy, we were taught, you need your knowledge, your facts, and then comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, evaluation. Again, this is a little dull right now, but I'm going to make a point that I think it's a little deceptive that these are all kind of formed as a triangle. That's a basic hierarchy of needs. But I guess one thing I want to point out, if we're talking about progress, which is clearly more quantity, or priority, which is like quality of living, when we look at quantity, we say, okay, once you get your basic needs met, then you can achieve something up here. And again, I think that's a little deceptive because your basic needs just seem so simple to me. Water, food, shelter. And then the possibilities are a little bit more infinite. And then, okay. So number 3. So is it quantity or quality, and what are the needs? So the hierarchy that I think education system is kind of based on right now from my research is a business hierarchy of needs and how to win. And so I just put kind of the number sense over here, what we're learning in education according to the math framework. Number sense, for example, what we think is important for your needs are Cartesian coordinates. I erased that one. Order of operations. And of course the Hindu Arabic decimal workplace value system. Like that's the need right now. That's kind of the direction that business hierarchy is saying we need more progress, and here's the answer to these solutions. And it's guided by this business hierarchy of needs, which is there's one Department of Education. Here's our little math for today. There's 26 board members on the NAEP, 36 members on the college board. That's like for AP testing and things like that. 6 big media companies, 5 publishing companies, and 1 student body. So it's kind of this top down, and what happens is we see some of the language that you might be familiar with. We'll talk about best practices, and you'll hear that leaking into education as business strategies, because education, of course, is being structured as a business. Well, I shouldn't say of course. I think that's where I'm seeing the direction going, and so this is a huge problem here, right? So we've got this hierarchy, the NEEP, that's pushing this force forward as far as the order. And then we have, I think, a lack of application, so I almost feel like we get kind of stuck down here. And then when we talk about rights of students versus kind of probability or property rights on this side of progress. I don't know if this is making sense. It's just my crazy little Newsom ways. But I do have a couple questions before we go on to number 4, which is, what does it take, do you think, in order to maintain this hierarchy and order? What kind of system? So just to kind of wrap up, I put, that the center needs, and that seems to be in debate. And really this is about the time being occupied. The grading for the NAEP is basic, proficient, and advanced. And I'll have some questions on definitions for that later. But I guess what I want to talk about is, like, where does your time go? Where's the attention? And what's the direction of education? Is it for progress, or is it more for a priority for you? And which do you want to lean to more or less? Because right now we're kind of swinging over here, which is there's legislation that's being put in to say you need to have more math and language. These are the two, no matter whether classes you're taking, the NAEP says for quantitative purposes, you need more math and literature. And again, we'll go into that in the next 4 little quadrants here. But I'm just having so much fun. And again, I know it's probably not making any sense right now. I'm just building up. But so far, just keep one thing in mind. Last semester, we talked about 10 different philosophies of virtue that you could possibly follow. It's up to you. Now we're kind of breaking down the kind of education system you have. And I think if this does ever get across to students, you'll kind of piece this together, and you guys are so smart. You're so smart. You're going to get this. I know it's a little crazy and kind of wackadoodle right now, but I'm having so much fun. And again, just in defense of students, I'm on your side. Trust me. I am always on your side. Students are number 1 priority, always. So anyway, here's number 3. I have so many plans, but for now, let's just keep going. So have a good day.